Hey, it's Curly. Today we're going to be playing Pale Moon, and been wanting to do this since like the dawn of time, and I decided to wait until the next set of strides came out. Turns out those don't really do literally anything for this deck. So we have a pretty decent starting hand here. We're going up against Kagero, which isn't too bad. This deck doesn't really have a lot of bad matchups, to be honest, considering the way it works. But it can definitely do better against some decks than others. It has pretty good matchups against stuff like Narukami, because it doesn't really care about its stuff getting bound, right? Because I don't bring anything from the drop, and I usually end my turn with nothing on board, right? Or I can, I should say. And something like bugs, you know, Mega Colony doesn't bother us because we can, one, put our stuff back into Soul, or two, again, not have anything on board. But I feel like a lot of people have had a lot of trouble with this deck in general, and that's because I want to just be nice about it, but I think people have just been playing this deck really wrong, which is why some people have written it off. I think this deck is really good. I think this deck can very easily pop off, and it has a lot of good tools. It's definitely not as good as something like Ult Mile or, you know, Golds even, right? Because it is a combo deck, so it does a lot of things that all these other decks do. But for example, its counterpart in Grand Blue right now with Night Rose pretty much does everything this deck is trying to do a lot easier. And part of that is just with the like Necrobone and the Necrorook interaction. That is really good. We don't really have that. We have that, but like discounted, right? So instead, what our deck sort of focuses on is more sort of early game pressure, and then just being able to blow out your opponent once they, you know, give you a bunch of counterblast. You can just go ham, right? And the other issue that seems people have with this deck is that somehow they deck out a lot. And I'll be honest, I've decked out with this deck, but that really hasn't happened in a long time, and that's because you really don't need to be soul charging as much as I think people think they do. Because I feel like a lot of people, they maybe spam the like Periton, or they spam the Jacqueline, which is unfortunately not very good in this deck, I don't think, or they spam maybe Harry's Stride skill. In general, I don't think you even want to use Harry's Stride skill if you can, you know, get around not using it. Typically, I'll only use Harry's Stride skill if, for example, I just don't have, let's see here, let's put on our one copy of you. If I just really don't have anything else to bring out. But, let's just go ahead and just swing in here. Doesn't really matter what order I do this in, since they technically have the same power. That's a good draw. I would like a Stride fodder for next turn, but we'll see if we can get that. Here we're going to be able to push them to 4, which is very good for us. Considering we're going to give them 1 rear guard to retire, I'm pretty sure they're going to push us to 5 immediately. But with the PGs I have in hand, I might be able to survive and then next turn win. And essentially what you want to do with this deck is put your opponent as much as possible and set up your soul so that later on you can wipe them out. So it's very similar to Grand Blue in that instead of setting up your drop, you're setting up your soul. The only bad thing about this deck is that you don't have like an Obadiah like Grand Blue does, where you can very easily just first stride start up your whole game plan, right? Here we kind of have to do that based on what we draw, and based on like stuff like this, like the Dancing Princess, which I've started playing recently just to finally be able to like get guaranteed pieces in Soul. And by guaranteed pieces in Soul, really all you need in Soul is a Darkside Princess, one of your best cards in this deck, your Betty, and your Crescent Moon Juggler, so you can do your endgame with the Harry Stride. So you definitely need at least these guys in Soul, ideally 2 Betty, and you know, 1 princess, 1 moon jungle. You need those 4 cards in deck. You don't need them right away. You can get them as you know the match progresses. But for your kill turn, you really need those cards. But if you don't, you can sort of work around it depending on what you have. And we got a Stride Fighter, which is very good here. Our opponent has a pretty big board here. Thankfully, we did manage to get another grade 3 because we're probably going to get Novell bagged next turn, but we're actually going to go ahead and go into the Lunatic Dragon. Another thing is that I feel like a lot of people go into, like, let's say the Amanda or something like that as their first try to the Clifford. I've kind of just always go into Lunatic because I really don't have the capability with this deck to survive past a 3rd stride or a 2nd stride turn, I should say. Usually by then I'll get my ass clapped, right? So there's really no point in going to the Amanda and then hoping to stride again and then hoping to finish them off after that. Whereas I would rather just play a lot more fast and loose. This all might just be just how I play the deck, you know, whatever. But that's just what's worked the best for me. Also, the Cat Knight in high boots is superb. So much better than the, I think, Happiness Collector is what she's called. Because he can very easily pull out, give you a column very easily for practically free. Very, very good card. I do want to put this in Soul, because it's actually pretty decent in Soul. I'll go over that in a little bit, but we'll actually play the Crescent Moon Juggler here. Won't use the skill, and we'll just swing in, push our opponent to 4. I wish there was a way that I can push up to 5 right now, but that is really not going to happen. Do I leave out an Intercept? If I leave out an Intercept, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. They're just going to retire it with the Stride skill, unless for some reason they just can't stride, right? Let's go ahead and use this skill, pull in our 2 units, get rid of one of those counter-charging guys. Get another grade 3, which is decent. We're going to need that for next turn. And a heal, which is also very good. So that should let us survive next turn, and then we can try and win on the clapback. What I need for next turn is to draw into one of my 2 Bettys. But again, I can make do with just the one I have, but another one would be nice just because I'm coming back from 4. Or I have to push from game from 4. But yeah, sorry. So what you want to do, like I said, you want to get those cards in Soul. You want to first stride to enable your Harri stride, and then next turn go for the kill. And that's basically what I've been doing. That's what's been working for me. I've been playing this deck quite a lot since it was released, actually, to be honest. That's what I figured. There's the Novell, but for once I am prepared. And that's what's been working out the best for me, right? You just go into the Lunatic here. You really just need the 2 Lunatics just to quickly get yourself to GB2, or technically I should say GB3 when you stride next. You can use the Mephisto. He technically does the same thing, and it's not a GR, right? Mephisto's effect isn't as good as Lunatic's. Not that Lunatic's is great. His skill to give you 2k is nice. You don't tend to use that as much. The crit, I don't get to use it as much, unfortunately. But the fact that you get to pull in a random unit is sometimes useful, but the fact that it's random makes it kind of whatever. And then you want to close out the game with your Dragon Masquerade Harri here. So we did end up losing that, which is actually good because we can actually try and ride this, or not ride this, call this, put this into Soul. What the hell just happened? What did he? Oh, he's playing that PG. Okay, so he only has 3 cards in hand here, so we might actually be able to end this. So let's go ahead and ride skip. We're going to go into our Dragon Masquerade Harri. We're going to discard our Stride Father here. And go into Harri here. We did not get the thing that we wanted. So let's go ahead and put out the cat over here. Typically I like to not call out stuff from my hand in case I need it for later on. So let's use this that we have in our Soul. We're going to not use this Harri skill. Notice how I still have a bunch of cards left in deck. And I have my Soul pretty much ready here. So let's go ahead and swing in here. Swing in with our Dancing Princess. We definitely want to clear up this column really quickly. Then we go into Harri. Harri says GB3. You can G-flip anything, really. Put one of your own cards into Soul. Choose 2 of your opponent's units, put them into Soul, and then you, or I guess in reverse, you can call out 3 of your own units. So we're gonna need these 3. Let's do this here. The reason I wanted to put the grade 3 is that when she's pulled out with Mahia, she gets 2k. When she's pulled out from the soul, she gets 2k. That plus Harry's skill, if there's a face-up Harry in the G zone, he gives your whole board 1k for each one. So that means this can hit from 4. Unfortunately, it's not going to work out that way this time. So what I can do here is swing in with this. And then try to swing in here. This is the problem. This is why I didn't want to have to push from 4, because it makes things really difficult. I don't have a Periton, which would have made me be able to make some columns. I can almost make a column if I can do the math right. But I don't think I can. I'm just going to put this in for now. And we might end up losing this one, unfortunately, because of that defensive there. Because what we needed to do is I could have brought out the Crescent Moon Juggler, and then I could have brought out Purple Trapezis with Crescent Moon Juggler. They would have each gotten 5, 6 from the Stride. So Trapezis would have been 11. Trapezis could have put something in and brought out the Darkside Princess. And then Darkside Princess would have been able to give herself 5, 6 from the Stride, so that would have been 15 plus 11, so that actually would have been able to hit, so I should have done that. He still would have had this PG in hand, so I still would have lost, so it wouldn't have mattered, but I would have at least gotten an extra attack in. He wouldn't actually been able to swing in with that column, but he still had the crit, which would have been actually worse, right? So let's go over the deck here, or my build. Specifically here, we're going to be playing 4 copies of the countercharging PG. As you know, this is the only way for Pale Moon to countercharge, or you may or may not know, I should say. If you have, 1 in drop and you guard with this, you can countercharge. There is a new PG that can, like, at the start of battle, you Soul Blast 1, after you guard with it, you can bring something out at the beginning of your turn. That's not really necessary, I don't think, especially considering we're playing the cat. It kind of does the same thing. But the countercharge is really important, so you gotta play these. No matter what, you gotta play these PGs, I think, because you want that countercharge, especially in the late game, right? If you can manage to get these in hand. We play 4 copies of the Masquerade Bunny. This is a Stride fodder and also searches out Harri from your deck. Harri's not super important, to be honest, but he is kind of important for your late game push. I'll tell you why he's not super important in a bit. I'm playing 1 copy of the Purple Trapezis. I'm trying this out right now. I've seen a lot of the lists from the championship where it was 2 Trapezis, 2 of the Dancing Princess. I didn't like the extra Trapezis, so I just went down to 1. And we're playing 4 of the Moonlight Melody Tamer Betty. So this is what Betty does. On GB1, at the end of the battle, this unit boosts. If you have a Harri, a grade 3 or greater Harri, this can be the Stride. You can counterblast 1, put whatever it boosted into the soul, and you call out a card with Mahia from your soul, right? She also does not call with Mahia. So these are 2 very important things to remember when you play this deck. She calls only Mahia, so you cannot call out Darkside Princess, and she does not call out with Mahia, so you can't activate something like a Cutie Paratrooper with this. So this is what makes this card not as good as, let's say, the Necrobone, because you can call out the equivalent to Darkside Princess, which is the Necro Rook, and it easily gets the 16k, which can swing in. Likewise, the Darkside Princess doesn't hit 16, she could only hit 14, but you have the advantage of being able to use her early game to swing in for some damage and put her into the soul, right? So they play a little bit differently, very similar. This is your main game-ending piece here. Essentially what you want to do is have a board where you have 2 Bettys, and your 2 columns, your Masquerade attacks. After you took out the intercepts, you call out, you set up your Betty and 2 cards, then you can swing in, like ideally with the Darkside Princess, then with something boosting with a Betty, put whatever that is that you attacked with in the soul, then bring out your Crescent Moon Juggler. Crescent Moon Juggler can then bring out Darkside Princess, and you can kind of do that, right? We'll go over that a little bit more in a second. So those are the grade 1s, and then we're playing Cat in the High Boots. This is a very good starter. So in your soul, this comes out with Mahia. So when your Vanguard is placed, so this can be if you reride Harri, for example, or something like that, you call this card out, and at the end of the battle, at the end of the turn, you put that back into your soul. So that's all Magia means, is if you call something out with a Magia skill, at the end of that turn, it goes back into your soul. Then he also says, with Magia, so he has the skill of Magia, where when it is placed from your soul, so from the first part of the skill or at any other point in the game, you can then call out any other card except itself, which obviously you can't play any more copies of itself, from your soul, and just call it. And at the end of the turn, you put it back. So this is very great because it very easily gives you a column on your first stride turn or any of your stride turns. You just get a full column, which is actually, really nice. You don't have to commit any cards to get that column, so it's one of the main advantages of this deck is you don't really have to commit too many cards in hand. It doesn't really matter too much because you're not guarding with all of those cards in this version of Vanguard, but you know what I mean. Then for the grade 2s, we're going to be playing here 4 copies of the Crescent Moon Juggler and 4 copies of the Peryton. These are our main Magia targets. I was originally playing more Magias into grade 2, but instead we're using here the Dancing Princess to just tuck one in anyways. So starting off with the Crescent Moon Juggler, what this says is on place with Magia, if you have a grade 3 or greater Harri, you Soul Blast and Counter Blast. Please remember, this has happened to me multiple times. I'm telling you all these mistakes I did so you don't make them. You Soul Blast first when you play this. So when you play it and it gives you the prompt to pick something from your soul, it is to Soul Blast first, not to call that card out. Just keep that in mind, but that's happened to me a couple of times early on. So you Soul Blast, Counter Blast 1, then you Soul Charge. Then after that, you can call out a card from your soul, any card. The Crescent Moon Juggler gets 5k, and then, the other unit gets 5k, and then the Crescent Moon Juggler gets 2k. So he can actually hit in for 11, for example, if you don't have any boost or anything like that, which is good. This is your main sort of combo piece. This is the equivalent to the Necrolazy, I think it is in Grand Blue, where it just lets you open up your game plan like that, especially at 5. You can, swap out, get 2 more attackers, which is very, very, very solid. He is okay. Soul is obviously more important to you than it is in Grand Blue, so you don't want to go into this too much unless you're going for game, or if you just really need an extra attacker, you manage to have the soul or something like that, or maybe even just a soul charge. If you, like, say, soul charge like a heal or some other garbage that you don't want in your soul, you can get that out there, maybe replace it with something else. Then we play 3 copies of the Peryton here. Flying Peryton here says Magia, when placed, if you have a grade 3 or greater Harri, you soul charge 1, then you can call out any card from your soul in the same column, so right, either in front of it or behind it, depending on where this is placed, but in the same column, and just call that out for free, just for playing it. So this also gives you a free column. So this you can use if, let's say, you don't have a Dark Side Princess, or your opponent has like the damage boost or something like that. You can call it the Peryton. Peryton can then call something out as well, right? And that makes it a good swing in. Peryton plus the Crescent Moon Juggler. Peryton gives him 5k, plus the whatever booster you brought out. If it's a 7k booster, then that can swing in for 21. So Peryton also allows you to get a free column. He also lets you soul charge, right? So you can just soul charge, you don't have to call something out, and just let Peryton sit there and you got the free soul charge. And that's basically the only real ways that we soul charge in this deck, is really through Peryton and through the Dancing Princess of the Night Sky. Dancing Princess of the Night Sky is an older card from, I think, like the second set or maybe the first set of Pale Moon support, which just says on place, Counterblast 1, put a grade 2 or less card from your deck into your soul. That's it. We use that ideally to get the Crescent Moon Juggler. If we don't ride it, we just want to ride one Heaven and Soul and that's it. Otherwise, we don't have to worry about this as much because you really want to save your Counterblast. If you can also put in Purple Trapezes. Purple Trapezes you can use with like the Crescent Moon Juggler just to like reset some columns as well. But she doesn't come up too often. I used to play this as the Cutie Paratrooper because she does the same thing as Peryton but in reverse, where on place she soul charges. She can call out a grade, or I think anything in front of her or behind her, usually in front because she's the booster. And I think she also gets power when that happens, or both the units might get power. But after having too many interactions where I try to bring her out with Betty and finding out that Betty does not call out with Magia, and then, Paratrooper would just sit there and my turn would end, I decided to not play it. Then we have the key card here in the Dark Side Princess. When this unit attacks, you can have this unit get 5k until the end of the turn, or the end of the battle. Then at the end of the battle, she goes into the soul. That's it. This is very good early game because it lets you put in some pressure so you're not fighting from behind too much. Ideally, you want your opponent to be as 5 after your first stride turn. Ideally, you don't want to fight back from 4. You can do it. You have the capability of doing, but if they're at 5, you're more than likely guaranteed that win unless they manage to have pretty much 8 guards in hand. And this helps you early on get that aggression, plus she goes into soul so you can clear out your front row both early on, so you can't have that circle locked by like Joker or something like that, or bound by Narukami, but also later on you can just clear up that circle so that later on you can call something with an Amanda, Crescent Moon Juggler, or whatever the case may be. So this is a very pivotal card. We play 4 of these. Let's go over Harri. His GB2 just says when he hits, you can call a card out from your soul, gets 3k. But his main stride skill is when you stride over it, he can call out a card from your soul with Magia if you counterblast 1. Before that, he also soul charges, and he gives that unit that comes out 5k. Really, you only do this if you don't have what you need in soul. You can do this to try and get that. Or if you just don't have anything you can call out from soul or from hand, and you don't want to commit something else, you can use this to call something out. Typically, you should not be doing this. I feel like a lot of people that play this deck see other of the G decks and think every single turn they have to do this to soul charge constantly. Do not. You only need to do this when you need to do this. Make sure you do not do this. This will lead you to decking out. And it is really not super worth it. We play 2 copies of the Flying Manticore here. Flying Manticore is pretty simple. With Magia, when the attack hits a Vanguard, you counterblast and soul charge to then call something out with 2k. You can't call over it, which is really good. And at the end of the turn, it goes back to the soul. On plays, you can counterblast Soul Blast to like a top 5 out of Magia. We really don't ever use that skill. Then we have the Alexis, which does the same exact thing. The only thing is it's without Magia. So I think the Flying Manticore can only call out a card with Magia, whereas the Alexis can call out anything, but it's without Magia, right? So if there's anything that says, if I was called out with Magia, do X skill, it doesn't work for the Alexis. But they're both the same thing. They hit, counterblast, soul charge, call something out from soul. I play the Alexis just in case I don't want something with Magia, so I can call out like a Dark Side Princess, but I play 2 of the Manticore just so that I can, if I really need to call it out with like Cutie Paratrooper or something like that, I have something with Magia. So we're playing 2 of the Alexis, 2 of the Manticore, and then 1 of this new card that I just started playing recently, which is the Praise Evil Tamer Miriel. Aside from the fact that I think this is a really cute card, she has a pretty interesting little tech here, where she has the skill for Vanguard that we're never really going to use, but on place with Magia, I kind of want to call a grade 1 or less from your soul. Then at the end of turn, put it back. Don't think we'll ever use that, but it's the GB1. On rear guard circle, when placed from the soul, she gets 2k. Then, if she was placed with a Maya effect, she gets another 2k, making her 15k. Then, that plus the Harri stride makes her 16, which is a really good number to hit, because we can hit over 1 damage boost. I would play 4 heals, heal guards, heal if we have 4 more, or if we have more damage or equal damage to our opponent. Then the G zone is pretty simple. As I mentioned, you really just need the Lunatics, or you can go into this Mephisto. I like the Lunatics, so 1, I have them, 2, lets me put something into the soul, and it can let me be aggressive if my opponent doesn't play out like an intercept, right? The chance that I can use the 2k to get power. But let's start out here with Harri. So this is Dragon Masquerade Harri. So GB3, this is your finisher. GB3 with Magia. When this unit attacks, counterblast 2, flip up any card in G-Zone, doesn't have to be itself, to call out, put something from your rear guard circle to soul, call out 3 cards, can be on, you can overcall with this, and then choose 2 of your opponent's units, put them into the soul. Then at the end of the battle, everything that you called out goes back to the soul. And if it's face up, or rather, if you have any face-up copies of this in your G-Zone, all of your units get 1k, which is why that grade 3 managed to hit 16. I play 3 of these, because I only have 3 of these, but there have actually been a few times where I've actually had to do this, and then go into my third copy, flip something else, and then be able to give my front row or all of my units plus 2k. So there's some merit, I guess, to playing 3, but you really just need 1 technically. You don't even need the second one. The boost is nice for a few units, but it really does make a huge difference. Really, it just only makes a difference for like this. Then the Lunatic Dragon, the Jester Demonic Dragon, Lunatic Dragon here. So this says any regards placed from Soul get 2k to the end of the turn, which is great. Then it also says when placed, you deflip to get 2 abilities. One says when it is attacking Vanguard, you put 2 of your units into Soul to then choose opponent's rear guard randomly, prioritizing the back row into their Soul. So you can snipe, maybe not snipe, but get rid of something that they have that they might want to use for later. Then if it's CB3, this gets a crit, which is okay. Typically we just use this for the G flip. Sometimes if the game is a little slow or if I need to soul charge, we're going to the Dragon Master Amanda here. She just says on hit soul charge and then call something out with Magia, or you call something out with the skill of Magia. The card you call out doesn't have to have Magia. Then it gets 5k at the end of the turn and goes back. This is the same for Clifford. Clifford does the same thing except he's 2k and the card stays. So if you want to be a little bit more defensive, we go into Clifford. Usually we don't. Then we have the Mephisto here. This is a new stride that we just got. This is what you can play instead of the Lunatic. So this says once per turn you can turn any card in your G-Zone face up. Then everything gets 1k for each of this card that's face up in your G-Zone. Then you can call a card from your Soul for every 2 cards with Maya in your G-Zone, and then they get 5k. I thought it just meant, I'm pretty sure they mean face up in your G-Zone, right? Not just exist in the G-Zone. So you can technically use this like second stride, call out 1 card. It's not very great by itself, but you can kind of just use it to automatically get you to GB3 when you go into your Harri. And then finally we have the new card here, the new GR that I don't think is very good, Carnivorous Megatrick Piranha here. So this says, with Magia, you can counterblast 1 once per turn, turn a card in your G-Zone face up, put a card from your hand into Soul, and then call cards with Magia from your Soul equal to whatever you have face up in your G-Zone. So usually 1 or 2. Then in your G-Zone, if you have 2 or more of her, when something would be put into your Soul with Magia, you can choose not to. Which honestly does not matter too much. But that's the build that I've been playing with. It's been working out really well. I've gone on like, the last couple of days I've gone into like 4 different 8 win streaks. I was at like Legend 7, I'm at like 13 now or something like that, or 12. So it's really working out really well. So as I mentioned, your main game plan is to get the Juggler, and ideally 2 Betty, you can do with 1. And a Darkside Princess in your Soul, so that on your kill turn you can just go into your Harri on GP3, swing a Vanguard, put something into Soul, call out ideally your 2 Betties and something else or whatever. Just make sure at the end of it you have 2 Betties and then 2 units. One of them ideally being Darkside Princess. Then you swing with Darkside Princess, she goes to Soul, swing, boost with Betty. Whatever that boost that goes to Soul, you can call out your Crescent Moon Juggler. That calls out then your Darkside Princess again. Crescent Moon can swing in. Darkside Princess can swing in boosted. You put that into Soul, and you can call out another Crescent Moon Juggler if you have it, which can then call out the Darkside Princess, and you can swing in again, right? So that should be 1, 2 into intercepts, 3, 4, 5, a 6, 7, like 8 attacks that you can do if you have the counterblast for it. Let's see if we can get a win here, so we can actually show it off. I was really disappointed that the last match, or the last video we did with Labrador, I ended up losing twice. Considering that I think that's a very good deck, and I feel like I played okay, but apparently I didn't. So we're going to be a little risky here. We're actually going to put back to PG, even though this is DP, and they kind of need you to have them to try and get our Harri here, or any grade 3. We do not get that, unfortunately. We are going second, so we get to stride first. Also means that if we go into the Lunatic, we can get rid of this if they don't play any other grade 1s. We do get the Alexis, which is not great. You theoretically don't need Harri at all. Because when you go into your Dragon Masquerade Harri, that's a Harri. So Betty, Crescent Moon, everyone else is live. because it has to be grade 3 or greater. The only thing is that early on you can't really do anything if you needed to like try and aggress, right? I actually want to kill that, so I think I'll probably play Princess here, ride this, and swing in with these two. We're gonna get the grade 3 structure, which is good. I don't have a Stride Fodder, which is not as good, so let's go ahead and play this. Throw down Dancing Princess, use our skill to, I guess let's just set us up, put ourselves a Betty in the soul there. And then let's throw this down over here. And we're actually going to discard the Periton here. Just so to make sure I have Stride Fodder for next turn. So let's go ahead and swing in here, see if we can actually maybe get a bunch of attacks here. I'll try it. If we don't get anything, okay. Swing in here. I wanted to try and kill this so we can make sure we get this. But I think it's a little bit more important here to just make sure we get the early aggro in here. Push them to 4. While still having an intercept out. So they can probably at most push us to 3 next turn unless they hit a crit or something like that. Let's see what they're going to do here. They did get the Grand Gallop here. Ideally, they will hopefully hit us here pretty hard, so we can get some draw triggers. Nope, they're actually only going to play something. That's not an intercept. Interesting. So this is a bit interesting because I do have the option to go into like the Amanda or something like that and try and end the game. That is nice to hit that draw trigger here. I don't know if I want to do that per se, because considering they didn't commit anything last turn, I'm assuming they can probably survive, and I don't really have a super aggressive hand right now, nor a super defensive one. I should be able to survive next turn, so let's just go for the more secure play here and go into the Lunatic. Okay, that does help out a lot. Let's go ahead and use Lunatic to G-flip. Now we can try and suck this guy into the soul. We'll see. Let's go and bring out our cat's friend here. Use cat to call out. Let's do the Dark Side Princess. We're gonna not use Harry's skill. We're actually gonna call out the Periton here. I actually get a Dark Side Princess, which is really nice. And then let's go ahead and I guess we can swing in this way. Okay. We'll swing in like this without the skill. I'll swing in here. We can put these two back into Soul. Yes, we got the starter, which is good. We're gonna hit a draw into Stride Fodder for next turn, which is good. And the heal, which unfortunately does get whiffed. Okay, there's the PG. We got rid of their starter, which is gonna hurt them, I think, a good amount. But let's see. I'm pretty sure we survive next turn. If they only hit 1 heal trigger, we should be fine. If they hit 2, there are times where I'm able to go into Harry from 3 and maybe kill, or if not, at least push them hard enough. Maybe check a heal myself and survive next turn. But let's see. They're gonna go into the this is X-Tiger, right? X-Tiger. Considering the hand size they had, they can probably boost us up enough to smack me with a crit. So I should probably be pushed to 5 here. They're gonna have to play a booster. It looks like they're not gonna be able. Well, no, they should just barely get the crit here. Because this will flip and get another 4. Which will put him at 47, 46, which gives him the crit. Okay, they got a stand, which doesn't matter. I don't know why he stood that. The other one had more power, but it doesn't matter, it's not gonna hit. So we're gonna get a draw, which is nice, as well as another draw here into Harry, which is also very good. And I think they might kind of ask to draw here, try and get more defensive pieces. And our opponent's just gonna swing in. Alright, now we should be able to end this here. So let's go ahead and ride skip. Thankfully we went for the Lunatic last turn, so now we can actually clap back. Let's go ahead and dip this Harry. Go into our Dragon Masquerade Harry here. I might actually commit some stuff from hand here. So let's call out the cat and high boost. You always have to call this out. Just keep that in mind. So if you don't have space for it, you're gonna have to overcall. So let's call out this one here, just so I have enough to call out the rest of the stuff here. And then let's do, what do I have in Soul? I do have 2 of you, which is nice. I kind of have everything that I need here. I don't really need any of this other stuff. So let's just do this and this. This can swing in here. This can swing in here unboosted with your skill, get +5. Do a heal guard check. That goes into Soul. We can swing in here, use this skill, flip up Harri. Let's put in, it doesn't really matter, maybe this for later. If we, go to the next turn, we have to do Mahia. Let's call out 2 of you and you. Put you 2 here and then put Overcall there. And then let's go ahead and steal these 2 from you. And we actually get to the heal trigger, which is really solid. Put that in the background here. That should be a PG check, as expected. So we're going to swing in here with this Dark Side Princess, get the boost obviously so we can actually hit. That's another PG. She's going to go into Soul. We're going to swing here boosted. We'll use the power just because we can here, and that's actually going to be game. If they actually heal here, we can actually still kill them. Because we can put that into Soul, bring out the Crescent Moon Juggler, and then swing it with another Dark Side Princess, or even Crescent Moon Juggler alone. Thanks to that, trigger that we managed to hit. But yeah, that's Pale Moon. Hopefully I've helped some people play Pale Moon. I feel like a lot of people have been struggling with it, myself included. I had to give myself a training camp in order to be able to play this because I really love Pale Moon, and I was just struggling constantly once it came out. But nonetheless, take care of yourself.